next class meeting on Tuesday, which is our final exam. And the final will be in the form of the midterm, same pair of exercises. Of course, problems are going to be different. I'm going to talk about them right now. So next Tuesday, I will email you the final first thing in the morning, and you will be able to take your time and do it without a hurry. And I hope to receive it back from you by email the same Tuesday. So I sent to you the practice exercise, and I'd like to start with that problem. So if you didn't check your email, please check it, and you should see the practice for the final. So what I will do is utilize last digits of student IDs to make sure that not everyone in class has exactly the same answers. So for, let's say, A in this problem, I can use 5. Or if you have a preference with some other digit, I can use some other number instead of A. Turns out the exercise is going to be pretty much the same. If you use 5 or 6 or 9, the work is going to be of the same nature. So, okay, I'll use 5. So I put that in my equation. So all you have to do is just replace that digit into the equation, and then you need to find letter X. And to find X, I will apply on both sides of this equation ln, because this enables us to take this powers and bring them in front, put them in front on the ground, so we can then start looking for a variable letter X. So the power rule for logarithms is being used to solve this problem. So we got X times ln of 5 on one side, and this ln of 3 multiplied by some parentheses. Then I need to distribute this ln of 3, because that way I will be able to eventually find numbers. So you got a little question to answer, so just a second. So anyways, when you distribute this, it's going to be 1 times ln of 3, which is ln of 3, and then 5x times ln of 3 is next to it. And on the other side, I still have that x times ln of 5. So I will be looking for variable letter x, and for that matter, I'm going to bring the x terms to the same side. I'd like to bring them both to the right side. This way, everything will be nice and positive. So we got x ln 5 and add it with 5x times ln of 3, because I need to find letter x, so I need to factor x out to have only one place where I see this x. So ln 5 will be in the parentheses, and then plus 5 times ln 3. So we're solving, people say, linear equation here. And to finish up solving this equation, what I do is I divide by that parentheses both sides of my equation. So I bring this parentheses with ln of 5 plus 5 times ln of 3, and denominator underneath my ln of 3. And this way we're done. We found x, and that's all you need to do to show all of your work for credit. So don't do it just on a piece of paper and throw it away and give me the answer. Show work so I can see how you produced this answer. And the problem will be very similar to what I just worked out for you. So you follow same steps and everything be just fine. So that's the first exercise. And well, practice it over weekend. Where it comes from, it's going to be in the, let me show you what sections we need to concentrate on for this final. So we looked at chapters 4 and 5 after the midterm. So it will be coming from chapter 5, section 6. That's something that we already looked at quite a bit last time. Good morning. So we have section 5.6, one of the key sections for the final. And also there is a second problem that will be coming out from section 4.4. So these two sections where I'm going to pull the problems from. So let me do another exercise from section 4.4 that talks about graphing and then solving inequality using that graph. So typical exercise will be like problem number 33 from section 4.4 that wants you to solve fractional inequality here. And to solve it, I'm going to graph this as if it was a function x plus 1 divided by x minus 1. So to graph this, I'm going to use denominator to find my asymptote. So the main says that denominator is not equal to 0, which means that x is not 1. If you plug 1 in this fraction, then you're going to divide by 0, which is not possible. So this means that we have a vertical asymptote, this line x is equal to 1. We're also going to have another asymptote called horizontal asymptote. And to find this horizontal asymptote, I want to look at the coefficients with variable letter x. So we have a y here, which is the same as 1 divided by 1, or equal to 1. And this is called horizontal asymptote. Y is equal to 1. So we'll be able to use this two asymptotes to graph this function. And to be able to graph, I need to know some points, and the point that we always use is intersection with x-axis, the x-intercept, which is defined in such a way that you make y equal to 0. And when you make y equal to 0, it means that you're making numerator only equal to 0. You don't really care for denominator because it's not equal to 0. And this little equation I can solve by simply isolating x and noticing that it is equal to -1, and that's the only point that I concerned with. So we have a graph of hyperbola-like function that approaches to horizontal asymptote as well as goes down along vertical. And it's also going to be in the region above my x-axis, since there are no more intersections with x-axis. We have only one intersection at -1. So I finished with graphing, but the question is to actually solve inequality. So how can I work that out? The inequality, again, the same x plus 1 over x minus 1 is now going to be a greater than 0. So this is the same as y, which is greater than 0, or considering everything above my x-axis. Above x-axis, all points on this graph will have their y coordinates positive above the 0. So I don't include this point because it's equal to 0 for y coordinate, and consider that portion of hyperbola kind of to the left from it, as well as another part of hyperbola here, because it's also above my x-axis. So I need to write solution with respect to variable x, and this will be from -1 all the way to the left. So minus infinity to negative number 1 without including it. And the other piece starts here with respect to x-axis, and it goes from 1 all the way to the right, all the way to infinity, and I take union of these two regions. So once you graphed, then you can see what part of the graph is above x-axis, because y is greater, which means it's above. So I guess you don't have to go any farther than that. So problems like these, you don't need to worry about, because that's what we consider in a pre-calculus class, in the next class. So for college algebra, just slightly touching this topic when we have a 0 on one of the sides of our inequality. So that's a second exercise for the final exam, and it shouldn't take you too long, but you still need probably a couple of sheets of paper to show work on these two problems. And a good thing is that you know what type of problems you're going to get to do on the final. So over weekend, I hope you will finish up with your homework if you did not finish with it yet, and send it to me by email. And please make sure that you tell me what class you're taking, because I'll be getting homework for college algebra from 5 classes. And it's very tricky to figure out what class this particular student takes. I need to look at the 5 rosters sometimes to get there, and it be taken me probably over than a week to do all this research. So just write that you're taking 825 class, and right away I'm going to know what class you're in. So I'll find you right away. So that'd be nice, because again, I give finals next week, and I give it to all of my classes. So students will be emailing me their work at various times. So I can't really know for sure what class I'm receiving work from at this moment. So when you send me your homework, when you send me your final, just put that you're an 825 class, and then it'd be straightforward for me to identify you. So anyways, the sections of chapter 4 that we were looking at were first 5, 4.1 through 4.5. So that's one part of homework. And the other part is chapter 5. And there we did sections from 5.1 through 5.6. And the key sections are here. So we'll have one exercise from 5.6 and one from 4.4. So for that matter, I made all of the recordings in one YouTube place and posted them there. So I sent you a link to this folder on the YouTube last time. If you didn't have a chance to sign in for that, so they say subscribe, please do so, because if you start to look for it right now on the YouTube, it will be hard to find. So just click on that link, and that way, if you subscribe, you're always gonna have it with you. And if you don't want to use YouTube, I was also emailing you this same recordings every time after the class, and I will also email you a recording of this lecture a little later today. So you could just look at the emails and locate those recordings through the emails. That's the other way of doing it, because it'd be helpful for the homework to look at recordings of lectures, because I worked out problems in those recordings, and you can do the same exact exercises and email me all your work after you're done. Again, this is part of the class grade, so don't forget to do that. So homework will be due on Tuesday next week with the final exam. Please send it to me in the separate emails, homework, and then the final. And again, don't forget to state what class you're taking. And I don't give you the time limit on the final. As long as you send it to me on Tuesday, that'd be fine. So I can grade it the following day on Wednesday. And Thursday, before Thursday class, I will have all the grades posted on the Blackboard. So you could check this sometime on Wednesday night, your grade. And this way you don't have to be logging into class on Thursday next week, because that'd be our last formal Zoom meeting. And I always keep it because sometimes students need to turn in some work or something didn't go through in terms of email. So for that matter, to be on the safe side, I reserve another class meeting. Or if you receive the grade that you don't like and you want to improve it, we can discuss what could be done to improve your final result or overall course grade. And usually all you need is just to make sure that I received by email your homework or maybe some extra credit exercises. So that all depends on how you did on the final. So we'll have very last class meeting, the formal one, on Thursday next week. And before that, Tuesday will be the final, and it'd be analogous to the midterm. So you don't have to log into the class because you take this pure and online format. But if you happen to have a question related to that final, I will be logged into the Zoom, so I can always help you to clarify what the question is asking or what student ID digits are and where to put them in. So you can always ask that on Tuesday next time when we have final. But if everything be clear, then you don't have to log into class, because all I need is your email with work on the final. So is there anything else that you're interested in me answering? I guess said everything that was needed for today. And if